Hello, young people. Eyes here, mouths closed. We have a lot to do today. Today we're going to talk about biographical writing, which is going to be your task for both Wednesday and on Sunday's assignment. Biographical writing is a type of writing that tells you the story of a person's life. And this can include research and facts, interesting information about that person, as well as opinions that people may have held about that person. What you're trying to do here is reveal a complete picture of what we call the subject, the person that you are studying, who they were, and the contribution they made to the world, so that when somebody finishes reading a piece of biographical writing, they should feel like they have a really good idea of who that person was, why they are important, and how it impacts their life today, or how that person is viewed today. So, what you need before you can write a piece of biographical writing, and what we're going to be looking at today, are these three key aspects. Okay, first you need a subject. That is the person that you are focusing your writing on. Now, the subject for this assignment is going to be the same person that you are studying for global history. This is the person that created or caused the genocide, who you are going to be focusing on for your social media project. That is the subject of your work. So you should have this accomplished already. Then, once you have your subject, you need to do some research on who that person is. This is where you find information about this person, and that information has to come from reliable or credible resources. Again, quick review. These are .edu websites, these are .gov websites, and what we view as believable.org websites, as well as the .com sites that I've approved: New York Times, Washington Post, The New Yorker, National Geographic, and the British Broadcasting Company. Once you have all of that collected, you want to create an outline. It's always better to have an outline before you write. You have to do less thinking on the fly. Once you have that outline there, you know where all the information is going to go in your paper, so all you have to focus on when you're writing is the writing itself. So this is what we're going to be working on for Wednesday's assignment. Now, looking ahead a little bit, I want to look at writing the biography, which is going to be the second step, what you're going to do for your second assignment this week. The format for writing a biography is very similar to the format for writing an argumentative essay. It follows the same idea. You start with an introduction, which tries to engage the reader in your subject, the person you're studying, and gives them a really solid idea of who that person was growing up, when they were born, stats and facts about their life. You want a thesis. Now, this is a little bit trickier than argumentative essay because you're not stating your argument, but what you're stating is, why is this person worth writing a biography about in the first place? What is the most important thing about that subject? As always, that thesis should be the last sentence of your introduction. Scrolling down, we are looking at body paragraph or body paragraphs, if you want to do more than one. This is where you include that information and the research that you have gathered about the person, but also about what that person is known for. We're studying a subject here, but the subject is important because of the genocide that they caused, that they created. So those events and that genocide are going to be a very big reflection of who the subject is. You're going to include both of those in your body paragraph or your body paragraphs. And finally, you finish with the conclusion. The conclusion looks at things after the genocide, and in some cases even after the person's life. What we're looking at here is the legacy of the subject. This means, how are they thought of after their life ends? How is the act thought of after the event was over? How did other countries react to the genocide that was put in place? And how did people sort of recover their life after all of this went down? This is looking ahead again. This is what we're going to be working on Sunday, but these notes are going to apply for both classes. So, Wednesday's work. This is what you're going to be doing for this lesson. You're going to complete the outline that I have uploaded for Google Classroom. You're using the same subject as your global history social media project, that same person, and you're going to fill in each of the sections based on the research from the reliable sources. So let's take a look at this outline here. This is what your outline is going to look like. Let me zoom in a little bit. So the outline is going to start with this section here, the first section, which is going to be a lot of important information on the person themselves. This is what's going to go in your introduction. So the name of the leader, the date that they were born and died, the hometown, the place where they grew up, where that figure lived throughout their life. If they moved to a different country, if they moved to a different city, we want to know where they started and where did they move to. Their spouse or partners, if they were married to someone or if they were single, we want to know that. And then influences. Who are the people that were really important to that figure? Maybe they were influenced by their parents. Maybe they were influenced by teachers. Maybe they were influenced by other political figures in their lives. We want to know who had an influence on what they became. That's all information that you're going to need for your introduction. Then, the second section here, now we focus more on the acts that they took on and committed as a reflection of who they were. So we're going to start with the genocide that they committed. What was the name of it? Who were the perpetrators? The people that caused these things to happen? Who were the victims? The people that were sort of the ones that were harmed in the whole situation. You're going to look at if there were any collaborators or bystanders, anybody who helped the person, the subject, commit the genocide, anybody who just stood by and allowed it to happen. And we also want to know, were there any upstanders who fought back against this? How did your subject finally convince the population to let the genocide happen? Now, I recognize that these questions focus a lot on the genocide, and you might be thinking that they don't really focus on the person. But again, remember, we're looking at the genocide and the actions that happened as a reflection of the person that created them. We're learning a lot about this subject based on their actions, right? We've often heard that actions speak louder than words. This is where we're going to see what those actions say about the person. Finally, on the second page is the information that we're going to look at for our conclusion, which sort of looks at the impact that the person had and the legacy that they were created. So what is the impact that the person you're studying had on the world? It could be positive or it could be negative. It could have caused people to change, or it could just be we reflected on them. What is that impact that they had? How did the international community respond? What we're looking at here is the subject took on the events and the genocide that they did. How did people respond to that person? A lot of what we learn about people is based on other people's responses, especially when we're looking at research-based work. So how did people respond? What happened to the leader afterwards, right? What happened to the leader and the perpetrators when the genocide was over? And then finally, what is the leader's legacy? How is it that they are remembered in the current times? So that's what you're going to be working on for today's lesson. Once you complete that, go ahead and submit that on Google Classroom. But I also want to look ahead so that you can use these notes for the work that's going to be due on Sunday. So when we look at Sunday's work, you are going to use that outline to complete a 3-paragraph minimum biographical essay on your subject. It'll include all of the traditional aspects of writing. It'll include an introduction. I'm going to add here, actually, a thesis statement. 1 body paragraph, minimum, though you could do 2 if you think that the paper would be better with 2, and a conclusion. So you're going to follow the guide that I'm going to provide for you on Google Classroom. And I want to look ahead to that as well so that you can use that when we are doing Sunday's lesson. So let me pull up that guide real quick. Your guide, called Guide to Writing a Biography, is going to look like this, right? And this is what I tell you that you should have in each paragraph. So your introduction is going to include that background information that we talked about, important dates in the person's life, locations, people in the formation of that life. This is the key here. After reading the introduction, the reader should have a basic understanding of the facts that make up that person's life. We don't deal with the actions yet, but we're going to deal with the facts. Your body paragraphs. 1 or 2 body paragraphs, up to you. You don't need to do more than 2. In fact, don't do more than 2. But 1 to 2 paragraphs should work. The body paragraphs focus on the action. Again, we're looking at the action that was important in defining who that person was. The action should revolve around the genocide, obviously. You will be focusing on the main subject by focusing on the events that have defined them. We are going to learn a lot about this person based on the actions that they took on. Finally, the conclusion. 1 paragraph conclusion. The conclusion focuses on the long-term impact of that leader. Often it lasts much longer than the genocide itself, and a lot of the time it even lasts longer than the life of the subject. We're looking at the impact the leader had, the international community's response, and what happened after it was over, right? So now we're looking at, okay, as we study history, what have we learned from this, and how has it impacted our lives after the event ended? So in total, the essay is going to be 3 to 4 paragraphs, depending on how many body paragraphs you think are necessary. It is a writing assignment, so this should look like a polished draft. This includes any edits or revisions that you think may need to be made, and it should read as a final draft, not a first draft. The last thing I want to bring to your attention is we need to make sure that we're not plagiarizing anything when we write. So if you are using information in your paper from your research, once you write the sentence that you write, in parentheses before the period, you need to put either the author or the organization that you got that information from. So if it's an organization, say I got the information from a website at the University of Minnesota, in parentheses I put University of Minnesota. If I got that information from an article, in parentheses after, before the period, I put the author's last name. And as always, you can quote material if you'd like, just like we did in class. According to author or the author's name, Weinberg says, comma, quote, put your quote there, comma, quotation marks, period. Any questions, you can reach out to us, let us know, both Ms. Flanagan and myself. You can get us on Remind, you can email us, you can get us on Google Classroom. Again, this assignment, this part of the assignment, isn't going to be up until Wednesday, but it's important that you know where we're headed with this so that you can have an idea of what that outline is going to be putting forward. Go ahead and reach out to us if you have any questions. Silent solo working time. Everybody get to work.